What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're here on episode 2. It might be long overdue, but better late than never for the Moving to Memphis podcast. You might call it the MEMCAST. I don't know. I'm not sure if that name's going to catch on or not.
Yeah. We've been working on a name. They were supposed to give us suggestions on the last one. Remember?
Yeah, nobody really gave us name suggestions. We got some comments, questions, and things, but no name suggestions. So we're going to stick with. we're just going to stick with Moving to Memphis podcast. But it's been a little bit. We want to do these a little more regularly going into the new year, but a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on here in Memphis. That's why we're doing another podcast. We're going into the holidays. We got some stuff to talk about there. A lot of stuff, updates going on in the real estate market, other happenings, and also want to get into some stuff that we really like here in the Memphis area that we'd really miss if we had to leave. But first, you see I'm wearing my Memphis Grizzlies hoodie because it's cold. It's starting to get cold. What is it today? What's the temperature outside today? It was about...
Well, it's started out in the 30s today's year. That's cold for Memphis, especially the first 30 of the year is always cold.
Yeah, very, very cold for here. Maybe not for some of y'all listening, but cold for here. But I got my Grizzlies hoodie on. Basketball season is underway. We talked about Memphis before. It's a basketball city. The Tigers might be a little more interesting this year so far than the Grizzlies. But what's going on? Kris, you're my resident basketball expert. And the Grizzlies is a fun part of living in Memphis. So what's going on?
So the Grizzlies are one of my favorite activities to do, going to the Grizzly games. I've been to several games so far this year. And, man, it's a tough year for us. We're not getting the wins. We've had a few as of late and a good win too, but not many wins at home so far this season, and the energy is just not there in the crowd. Obviously, everybody's looking for that highlight player, and he's missing. He's MIA, so hopefully he gets back in action pretty soon, and I think that'll put the fans back in the stands and get that energy back in the FedEx Forum. That goes a long way to helping them pump those guys up and get them exciting and winning games.
Any word on when he's coming back?
I think he's eligible to come back December 19th. That game will be an away game, so I hope his first game back is here at home so we can show a little support and set the expectation of what we want out of the situation, which is back wins, back in the playoffs, and back in that Memphis culture inside the Forum, which that's just as much fun as watching the game.
Yeah, I mean, everything about it. I mean, it's fun even when they're not winning, but it's just when they are, and it's just, Memphis isn't as big as some of these other cities, so it's kind of like the whole city gets into it, and it kind of adds to the fun. Everybody's involved with it, and it's just part of living in anywhere in the Memphis area. If you're in the Memphis area, even if you're not a big basketball person, you're not really into it. I mean, I guess I'm really not, but it's just kind of, it's fun to get into here. So
it's really contagious when you're in that Forum, and they got we've got a whole scene of Memphis rap too. So they're playing the Memphis rap scene in there in the FedEx Forum, and just be part of that culture and the lights and everybody dancing and hollering. It's fun, and I miss it. So we need the highlight player back to put everybody in the stands to get those wins going again.
Well, I think it's coming. I'm always optimistic. So it's early. We still got a lot of time for things to happen. So I think that'll come around. And so if you're coming here, you'll get to be part of that excitement. If not, I guess you get some cheaper tickets. It's still fun to go.
Yeah, that's the joke I've been saying too. Well, it's not as fun this year, but it's been a lot cheaper to buy those seats. I've been to a couple games for less than $20 for my little preferred seats that I like to get. So anyways, it is a little cheaper to go this year.
Yeah, so I guess there's always a bright side.
Yeah. I would have to pay more to get the wins though and watch the highlight. Just be clear.
Well, I think we all would at some point.
Yeah.
But that's not the only thing going on around here. We are in the holiday season, and so I wanted to kind of that's kind of look for things to do different times of year. So living here, what do you got going on this time of year in Memphis, Kris?
So there's always been some really cool things to do during the holidays as far as light shows and things like that. There's always been starry nights out at Shelby Farms where you can pay and pack as many as people possible in the car. You pay an entry fee, you drive through the park, and they've got a light show set up out there with Christmas lights and ornaments and big figurines and things like that. So that's always been around. There's also, for the last several years that I can remember, there's been zoo lights where you can pay admission to get into the Memphis Zoo and walk around and see the lights, take a look at the animals at night, which is kind of unique. That's a different perspective from me growing up and seeing them out there during the day. So that's cool to walk around the zoo and see zoo lights. There's something new this year, though, and these are all family oriented, activities or a good date night, really, but something new this year, Jared, that I'm excited to go to. I've had a few friends go to it. They've mentioned it is Deck the Diamond. So they've got lights set up on the Redbirds field as well as an ice skating rink. So you pay a little fee to get in there and see that. I don't think it's too cheap. It's kind of pricey from what I could tell. But if you're willing to pay the fee and get in there, I think that would be cool. A different perspective from that I've never seen before as far as being on the Redbirds field with all the lights. Obviously, there's a lot of selfie opportunities and things like that. But to go ice skating down there, I think that'd be pretty cool. I may do that with my family sooner than later.
Yeah, that's one I would really like to check out. That sounds pretty cool. The Star Nights is always pretty cool too, and I will say the zoo thing, they've got to do something this time of year to really liven that up. Because I don't know if you've ever been to the zoo in the winter months.
Mhm.
I did last year. I don't go during the lights. Don't go during the day because all those animals that are usually out. If you go in the summer, you see they got all kinds of stuff. It's
Mhm.
actually a really cool zoo that's there. I mean, it's one
We
of the
have
better
a
ones
lot.
I've been to.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, a lot of those animals don't like the cold, and it gets cold enough that a lot of them aren't out there. Um, so yeah, you get to see the ones that are out there and the lights. It adds something to it. Um, but yeah, a lot of stuff like that going on this time of year. A lot of fun things to do around Memphis in the holidays in general. And another thing, trying to think how I want to segue into this.
One more event that's come up
Okay.
just within the last day or two is the University of Memphis Tigers football. They're going to be in the Liberty Bowl this year, so we get the home game, Liberty Bowl game. So that's cool. That everybody's excited about that. So come out and watch the Tigers football team at the Liberty Bowl this year. Very rare that we get to see our home team playing in the bowl game like that.
Well, and that Liberty Bowl stadium's getting a big upgrade too. I heard it got some a big influx of cash from what's the FedEx founder. I'm
Yeah,
blanking on his name.
Eric Smith, the Smith
Yeah,
family.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so yeah, they've committed 50 million to the renovations of the stadium. They're actually arguing about that today in the news and in the there's something along the lines of that they have to turn the city has to turn over the ownership of the Liberty Bowl Stadium to the University of Memphis. That's going to be one of the stipulations to get that 50 million from the Smith family. But I think something tells me that won't be a problem. That's something's going to get figured out to make sure that the Smith family is able to donate that big $50 million check to help with the renovations, which I think are north of $100 million altogether. So,
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty cool. I've seen renderings of like different screens and stuff around and some cool stuff. I don't know how much of that is real and what's the final deal or not, but
yeah, it usually doesn't end up all the way like they should in the beginning. Um, but Memphis football has really come a long way the past 5-10 years. So it's exciting to see some of that money being, um, injected into that stadium because that's been there for a long time. That Liberty Bowl Stadium. There used to be Liberty Land, which is a park there, and the fair, the Mid South Fair, was held there for years. But those things have been long gone, and that property's needed some investments. And it's so it should put us on par with some of the bigger schools in the area. So we're excited about it.
I imagine they're going to get that worked out. And
Yeah.
looks like it'll be pretty cool when they get done. And you helped me with my segue to the next thing I wanted to talk about because that's not the only cash fusion and investment coming into the area. The other one, the big one that we keep talking about, and it's really starting to pick up some steam lately, is Blue Oval that's coming in, and some other little side parts of that are really starting to take an impact.
Yeah, I mean that is. I'm just really excited about that for our city and our town. Like, if you're not, you're just missing the boat, because with so much money, so much investment, and obviously Ford Motor Company coming to our area, um, I don't know. I'm super excited about it. Every time we go out there, Jared, the site has doubled or tripled, it seems like. And I mean, they're building that place at just a crazy pace to go from where it started over a year ago to where it is today. And it should be up and on online by like 2025 is what they keep saying.
Yes, I say we're only a little over a year now from it, being complete and fully up and running. So, with that, we've already started getting the calls from some of y'all. Maybe you're watching, and definitely leave a comment if you are, that are getting ready to make the move to the area, and you're kind of researching. And so, some of y'all have already started reaching out as they've started the hiring for that. And I will say too, I was a little concerned because recently you had all the union talks with Ford and a lot of stuff. And then Ford's been kind of pulling back on some of their EV investments. But they came out and said for the Blue Oval City and this project here, they're continuing it 100% as they
Mhm.
originally planned. So nothing's kind of pulled back from that. That's full steam ahead. And so it's good for here. I know some of the other ones in some other cities did get pulled back, but not here. So if you're
Now,
thinking about that, or if you're kind of worried about that, if that's something you were interested in, um, it's happening just as planned
yeah, they're
for
still
this
on
area.
track here, and I'd just like to say thank you to Ford Blue Oval, because they are really injecting themselves into the community. If you follow them on Facebook like I do, I mean, they're always in another town: Brownsville, Jackson, Arlington. They're going out to all these places, to the Chamber of Commerce's, introducing themselves, putting investment into our schools, letting the students come out and tour Blue Oval, and the STEM programs and things like that. So I just appreciate how they're really involved in the community itself, and they're obviously looking for employees and things like that, and trying to get established here. But man, I appreciate all the effort, and just excited to see what 10 years down the road is going to look like, as far as the impact of the not only the jobs but the infrastructure around there, the different communities that surround it. We've done a couple videos, Jared, the best places to live near Ford Blue Oval, and so we anticipate good things happening in all of those communities as a result of this multi-billion-dollar investment from Blue Oval SK.
Yeah, and it is cool. I don't see. I feel like I don't see enough people talking about the fact that you're right though. It's not just that they're investing the money in the plant, which will bring the jobs and that kind of growth, but they are really putting a lot of effort to be part of the growth in those communities more directly. So that's been cool to see from them. I think they've done really well with the whole project so far, at least from what I can see in our observations here locally, anyway. So that's really cool, and that's obviously bringing a lot of people to these areas. And this is a good point for me to stop and say, if you're one of those people, or if you're one of people coming from any of the other opportunities that you have here in the Memphis area, we make videos, content, everything for you to help you kind of learn about all this. Just like this podcast and a lot of other videos on the channel. If you want to see those, make sure you get down there and hit that subscribe button. If you click the bell, you'll get notified when those videos come out. And if it's for this one or any of those other opportunities, and that's coming up here soon, or even if you've got questions for a move farther out, don't hesitate to go ahead and take that one step further.
No, don't wait, guys. Just let's start the program. Let's start the process sooner than later. Reach out to me, call or text right there at the number. I do my best to answer the call, so more than likely I will be the one answering the call. Hey, hello, this is Kris. And it's hard to believe sometimes that people are like, is this actually Kris from the video? Like, yes. I'm taking the calls right now until they get a little overwhelming. But if calling's not good for you, just send me a quick text and I'll call you back on your schedule. And but just reach out to us and let's start the process, and we'll start you with that move right here to the Memphis market.
Yeah, some of the emails and texts are actually better. You can actually go ahead and give us a little heads up of
Yeah.
what you're looking for before we kind of jump into it. But yeah, it's us responding to it. It's typically Kris who you're going to talk to, and we love doing this. I think we have some fun making the videos and the content for you. But obviously, we love it even more if we can help you make that move to the area. And in that area again, in the Blue Oval area, something that Kris saw a news story I thought was pretty interesting, and you might just because of some of the tax implications and the money saving that you can do. They're in that Arlington area, which Arlington is just set to explode with Blue Oval. It's kind of on the edge of the Memphis Metro, closest to Blue Oval, without kind of getting uh, out there all the way. But you're still kind of closer into all the stuff. You want to be able to get downtown reasonably, in a reasonable amount of time, but you want to also be close to like the Bartlett stuff, the Wolf Chase area, all that. Arlington has been good for people looking in that area. So the fact what's going on with their schools might impact a lot of you. Might be something that you'd be really interested in.
Yeah, this was a big story, and I just stumbled across it yesterday. But obviously, they said this a week or two ago. But so Arlington school system is one of the better school systems in our area. I think Jared looked it up, and what was their niche.com rating, Jared?
It was like third or fourth
Yeah,
in the area.
in the area. So I bring up the school systems because it's so complicated. I had some potential clients here late last week, and just explaining the school systems, it's kind of confusing. And some of the schools, even though they'll have an Arlington mailing address, they may actually be sitting in Fayette County, or they may be sitting over in the Millington Reserve area, or some of the Arlington address is in Bartlett to even confuse things more. So it's not so much the mail is the issue, but depending on where that house is physically located, it determines what school system your kids will go to. So if you're across that Fayette County line, even though you've got an Arlington mailing address, you're in Fayette County, so you would be zoned for Fayette County schools. Arlington, in years past, have allowed those students to pay a small tuition and attend the Arlington City Schools. It looks like I read the median was like $5,400, something like that. Well, starting the 24-25 school year, they're waiving those fees. They're allowing those kids to come on into the Arlington schools. The out of county students can come in for no fee. Some of the out of Arlington students, which means they still live in Shelby County, but not in Arlington, they've been able to go there tuition free anyways. But the storyline is they're waiving tuition for out of county students to attend the Arlington schools. And they're doing that to combat some of the student loss that they're going through because of the Lakeland School District is establishing itself. And each year that Lakeland Preparatory School is stepping up the next grade level. I think they're to a 10th or an 11th grade level right now. So pretty soon they'll be at 12th grade, K through 12 in Lakeland. And whereas most of those kids used to attend Arlington schools, now they've got their own Lakeland schools to attend. So Arlington is doing their best to keep the enrollment numbers up so they can keep their same staff and everybody on staff. And to me, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of those super low Fayette County tax rates and still have the benefit of a top tier school system with the Arlington City Schools.
Yeah, and there's a couple different ways to look at that. Obviously, you can you can live out there, you can save some money, still get into the school without having to pay the tuition. And yeah, it was one of the top rated school districts in the whole area. But that new Lakeland school district is also on the list as well.
Mhm.
And with them adding in, so if you wanted to be again, I mean, we talk about Arlington and Lakeland, they're right here together. So if you're in that area and you're on the Lakeland side, you can kind of know that you're in some brand new schools, new facilities, and all this stuff. So
Mhm.
um, that's going to be a good positive for you as well. So whether you end up in Arlington, in Lakeland, or anywhere kind of close to them now, you've got somewhere that's going to be a highly rated and good school for you to go to. So that's nice. And even if you don't have kids going to the schools, I mean, that's only going to be positive for your property values on top of the growth. And that's the thing with the growth. They don't want to let the staff go in Arlington because we're kind of right now, like we said, we've just had people start reaching out because they're starting this hiring
Mhm.
for Blue Oval. So as that continues and ramps up over the next year, they know that growth is coming. So they don't have to start letting people go only just to be looking for people to come back again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
we keep mentioning Arlington and Blue Oval together because that Arlington exit is the closest exit to Blue Oval within Shelby County.
mhm.
So that's obviously going to be a high priority area for Blue Oval employees that are relocating to the area.
Yeah. So I think nothing but good things for that area. You may you may have to deal with a few more people as it goes along in the area. But they're doing a lot to prep. I mean, they clearly they've known this is coming for years. So sometimes you see places and it's just like bam, they got hit with just a ton of people came in and nobody had time to prepare. You've seen that in some of these bigger cities around the area, but
Yeah.
this has been coming. People have had time to prepare and they've been doing that.
Yeah, something else can be said about Arlington's planning board. I mean, they're not allowing just anything to be thrown up. Everything has to have a certain aesthetic. They're not allowing the signs to be way up in the air, the low advertising signs and like that. So I think they're being really smart about what they're allowing to come into the community and just the overall look of the community, which is, I mean, that's important when you're trying to support these values that some of these properties are going for, right? Like they expect a certain level of aesthetic with all their shopping and things like that, especially when you're buying five, six, $700,000 brand new construction homes. So I think they're doing a great job of that.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to the next thing, which that's going on a lot there, but also just other spots around the area. And we've had questions from people, that thinking about making the move, and they wonder, is this a good time? Should I wait? And people have been asking us for the last 3 years if they should wait. And right now, in the Arlington area, up around Millington, even down, down around in Collierville and on the Mississippi side, DeSoto County, there are a lot of opportunities right now. And, it could be, I'm going to say for sure that it's probably the best time to buy, especially new construction that we've had in years.
Yeah, the builders are offering some really strong incentives right now, I think, to kind of clear up the market ready homes at the end of the year. But several of the builders here are offering 5.99 fixed rates for the life of the loan. They're also offering closing cost incentives and things on top of that. But so we're not talking about a 2-1 buy down. I think that's a pretty common thing that come out in the beginning where, if you had a 7% rate, they'd buy it down to 5 the first year, 6 the second year, and then it would tap out at the life of the loan at the market rate of 7. This is a 30-year fixed 5.99 rate for a lot of the builders, like you mentioned in Collierville, Arlington, even down in DeSoto County and things like that. D.R. Horton has taken it to the next level right now. They are offering on their market ready homes, and they have communities in Munford, Millington, Oakland, down in DeSoto County as well. They're offering 4.99 fixed for the life of the loan, plus up to 10,000 in incentives to cover closing costs. And keep in mind, those homes already come with blinds, all the appliances in them. So I don't know. I mean, that's a hard deal to beat right now. Get you a market ready home, move in ready, smart home with all the appliances and blinds at a 4.9 fixed rate. That's a great deal they're offering. But rates
Yeah.
overall, we should be clear. Rates overall are way below their peak back in October.
Yeah. So they've been kind of trending down. We're still nowhere near close to 4.99. And honestly, I don't know if we'll uh, ever, at least in terms of, in the next several years, be back down under 5%. And honestly, I don't know that that I would want it to, just because we've seen the craziness that comes with that, and it just gets so hyper competitive. And I mean, unless you've got, a pretty good stack of cash tucked away to use to get into something, it's very difficult to even do that. But right now, where we sit, it's, you know, we're still kind of relatively higher, so you don't have quite as many buyers competing. So the opportunity to come in and get that lower rate, even the 5.99 with the incentives they're offering, is just it's something. If you need to move, I can't imagine that you're going to do much better than that by waiting 6 months. I just don't see it happening. Because we get in the summer, you'll have more competition, and rates are trending down. So if we do see rates get down into the low sixes or high fives,
Mhm.
in the summer or going into the fall, I don't think that'll push us into the hyper competitive deal, but you may be competing with multiple offers. Where now, in a lot of instances, you can look at several houses, pick one, make an offer, and get it,
Yeah,
which you couldn't do, a couple years ago.
no.
So you can do that. And one other note there is, another thing people said, well, prices are coming down. Should I wait till they come on down further? I don't want to buy here, and now it's worth this. And we just haven't seen that in this area. At the high end of the price point, which for here, once you get up above 700,000, I mean, you're starting to get kind of into the more luxury market. Definitely a million. I mean,
Yeah.
you're way above the median price range. And those have slowed down. And we've done videos about like Magnolia Home stuff. And that's the one where we got the comment, if people were concerned about, they bought a house and it's come down. Maybe, but they probably bought with such a good interest rate when it was higher that it doesn't matter as much. But for the most part here, if you're buying in the median range, 350 to 550 ish, I mean, I don't think we've seen any pullback really. I mean, it's kind of maybe leveled out or
Yeah.
slowed down a lot.
The prices may have dropped just 10, 15,000. There's definitely not 40, $50,000 price cuts. More so what we saw, what we're seeing and what we've seen over the past several months are the incentives to be stepped up, right? When it
Hmm.
first started, there really wasn't much incentives for new homes, just kind of like, this is our price. If you'll pay it, we'll build it for you. So the prices held pretty firm. They may have dropped back, pulled back just a little, but for the most part, the incentives like the rate buy downs, the closing costs, fences and things like that. Those are the way they were. Those were the incentives to get the homes moved and sold, as opposed to just dropping the prices on
Yeah. So as we go forward, you get into that spring, summer timeline, rates, I think they'll be in the mid to low sixes. If we get down to that, especially if we get lower than that, a lot of those incentives aren't going to be around for you.
them. Yeah,
Because they're not going to need to do it. I
yeah,
mean, we got to a point not too long ago they didn't want to talk to agents even.
yeah.
They didn't need us. They weren't doing anything for anybody.
Mhm.
So you kind of have to kind of balance that a little bit. So make sure that you have an opportunity you can get in and get a good deal.
Yeah,
And right now you can do that. 3 months you may be able to do it. After that, I don't know. Nobody
yeah.
really knows.
I think ideally the sweet spot there is a low 6% rate, but still being able to take advantage of the incentives, the $10,000, $15,000 in closing costs and rate buy downs to buy it even a little less than that 6%. I'll be the first to say I don't want to see 4% rates again, because I, working primarily with buyers, saw the heartache that a lot of these clients were experiencing when they were missing out on their favorite home, their second favorite home, their third favorite home. I mean, a lot of them just got discouraged altogether and decided to become renters, which, by the way, in the same market, the rents were going through the roof because there were
Hmm.
more people couldn't purchase a home. So they were having to, resort back to renting. And that drove up the rental rates in the area as well. So ideally, to me, the good happy medium is a low 6 rate, still able to get closing cost incentives and things like that. That's a win-win for both the seller and the buyer, and it kind of keeps that steady turnover that we need. As far as people selling their homes and either downgrading or upgrading to the next thing.
Yeah, well, I think just that, which is kind of the more macro nationwide deal,
Mhm.
coupled with all the growth opportunity and potential that we have coming up here over the next year in the Memphis market, is really making a good opportunity. So if you're on the fence, if you're thinking, I don't know if it's a good time, if I should wait, um, obviously nobody does have a crystal ball, but I feel pretty good, probably better than I felt in a very long time on saying that I think it's probably a pretty good time to buy. And I think it will be for the next, like I said, 3 to 6 months. After you get a little farther out than that, I don't know. If those rates go down much more, it could be difficult.
Mhm.
If we get, in a pattern where it kind of sticks in closer to 7%, you've kind of got a difficult there. So hopefully we get there. Um, but I want to kind of wrap up because we're talking about a lot of times with people moving to the area. What do you want to know? But I don't have as much experience in the area. Chris, you've lived here for your whole life.
Uh-huh.
And so I wanted to kind of put this question to you. Let's say you had an opportunity or something or whatever pulled you away. You had to move out of state. You had to move far away from Memphis.
Mhm.
What are the things you would miss the most? Because if you would miss them the most, it's probably some of the stuff that people when they get here would really enjoy.
Yeah.
So what would you really miss? What would be the things that when you come back to Memphis, you would have to hit up or go to, or that you'd
Yeah.
really appreciate?
Well, I mean, so there's a couple obvious answers being here your whole life, which would be friends and family and work associates and things like that. Just the relationships that comes with a lifetime of living in an area. So that would be the obvious answer, I think, Jared. The second obvious answer would be like, where am I going to get some good barbecue outside of the Memphis area, right? I mean, does it exist? That's a
Some
question.
places have some good barbecue, but there's a lot of places that don't. Um,
So
And
that's one thing for sure I would miss. But I think more so would just be that just there's a culture here in Memphis where if you're part of it and you've been here your whole life, you know that it exists, and you see that guy and just, how you doing, man? What's up? All right, yeah, thank you. Hold the door, thank you, sir. Yes, sir. So that down home culture that we have, the Southern hospitality, I tell people all the time, it is a real thing here in the Memphis area. So I think I would miss those things, and just the familiarity that I have all over the city, to where, yes, there's some rough areas. Yes, there's some high end areas, but when you live here and you become part of the community, you realize that you can really be comfortable throughout the entire city, as long as just pay attention to what's going on, be respectful of others. And those are things I would definitely miss. And not to mention the Memphis Tigers and the Memphis Grizzlies would, would always be missed by me.
so is there like a restaurant or two that you would really like? I'm coming back to
Yeah.
Memphis for the weekend. I gotta hit up this spot.
Yeah. So
Chris doesn't like to give up his favorite spots. I don't know if y'all
I
know this.
don't like to give up my
You
favorite
know,
spot now, because they could maybe use it. But so we there's a Mexican restaurant in Millington, and my wife and I have gone there since we were teenagers. They know us by name. We know all of them by name. But I would definitely miss Los Reyes Mexican Restaurant in Millington. It's a small little place. You may miss it. I don't share it with a lot of people because it is my comfort area.
we're
my
30 minutes into the podcast now, so
maybe what I'm supposed
if
to
you're
do.
watching, drop us a like and tell Chris thanks for the recommendation in the comments.
But
Um,
Los Reyes chicken fajitas is my favorite with the frozen margarita. I think that's my go-to. I'd miss that for sure. But then there's a couple local areas in Midtown and things like that that I love, which are Memphis Pizza Cafe. I talk about all the time. My wife and I have also gone to that place since we were teenagers, so we love Memphis Pizza Cafe, and I think the Los Reyes Mexican would be my two missed spots, because those are the two places that we frequent the most. But there
uh,
again, you've got things with the barbecue places. Folks Folly Steakhouse just made another best steakhouse list in the Southeast. So obviously, there's some high end areas that would I would miss as well.
well, I'll tell you one of my favorites, and it gets kind of lumped in with the more touristy stuff, but I've always loved it. I always loved it when I used to live in Starkville and go to Mississippi State. We'd come up for something. There's a place I always had to go, and that was Dyer's Burgers, right there on Beale Street.
Yeah.
And it's greasy. It's not health food. It's not, if you don't like greasy food, you won't like it. But man, I always liked it. I don't know if I've told the story on the channel before. One time I was in there, and overheard them talking about, somebody came in and requested them to batter up and deep fry in a whole burger. And
Yeah.
I overheard them saying that. I said, "Hey, will you do one for me like that?" And they did. And on one hand, you might say it was terrible, but on the other hand, it was delicious.
Secret to that place, Jared, you may know this because you are a fan of it, but that grease that they have is like, they've always
Yes,
had
it's
grease.
the original grease, I guess. Or I
Yeah.
guess they have to add more, but they've never. That
Yeah.
sounds terrible. They've never cleaned out the grease, like they've never changed it out. So,
They
yeah,
say
that's
it's quite so good. And the thing I didn't know, because I'd been there, but it was a long time ago when I was a kid. But when you were here and we went back a couple times, like, there's only one way to get the burger. Like, you don't, there's not variations of onions and tomatoes and things like that. It's like, do you want a cheeseburger? Yes or no. Um,
uh-huh.
but hey, stick with what works, because it obviously
Get that
works. It's been there for a long time.
get that double double. That's what you want.
Yeah. Okay.
I
All
think
right.
they do a triple triple too, but that's that's pushing it a little much.
Yeah, that's
Um,
wild.
hey Chris, what would you not miss? What would what would you be glad to get away from?
Well, the obvious answer on that one, I think, is crime. I mean, it's there, it's happening. So we got to get away from the crime. The second thing would be the reckless drivers. The drivers are driving recklessly there.
That's what I knew
So,
you were going to say.
yeah,
Yeah, keep our logo straight on that TV.
yeah, I threw up my text messages there. So, um, yeah, the reckless drivers are insane. But hey, man, something, I don't know if it's the year, the end, year of end of year quota requirement or what, but I've been taking my wife to work because we're having some car issues, so we're sharing a car briefly. And I've noticed lots of Memphis City cops out there near the school zones and things like that, writing tickets and pulling people over. And man, to be honest, I just haven't seen that in a while. So to see that happening here the past couple of weeks, it's hopefully they're starting to tighten up on these the reckless driving and the expired tags and no tags and wrecked cars. And I mean, it's just insane sometimes. And I hope they're getting a grip on it because it's needed in our area.
Maybe they've been watching our videos and
Yeah.
hearing us
Okay.
talk about finally
Yeah.
taking some action.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and claim responsibility. You're welcome, everybody who lives in Memphis. We're causing the crackdown on that. I'm sure we're not. I'm sure we have no impact on it whatsoever.
Zero
But
whatsoever.
but there you go. I think that'll wrap up. We're at 35 minutes. That's gonna be it. That's our second episode here. If you got things that you think would be cool for us to talk about, questions you have, all that kind of stuff, just leave it in the comments. And if you're listening this far into the video, tell us where you're coming from. Where are you thinking about moving to Memphis from? I want to know. And I'll know you listened to the whole video because I didn't mention it till the very end here. So tell me where you're coming from, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you will see the next episode of the MEMCAST. I like MEMCAST.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe that's just an internal name. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. See y'all next time.